Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dorian Show. Earnings can continue to be very exciting this past week. Well, at least to the stocks that I'm following. I'm really thinking about the idea of a value stock, a deep value stock, some would say, and a value trap. And I think those two things are kind of are very close. You know what I mean? Like something that could be a really good value could potentially be a value trap. And I'm using today's episode to kind of go through my thoughts on the issue and if I should basically buy like $50,000 worth of Nintendo stock. But let me give you guys a background about why I even started to think about Nintendo. As you guys know, I don't know if a lot of people know, actually. I feel like this might be a really niche community, but I started seeing a lot of Pokemon content on Instagram about people like reselling Pokemon, opening Pokemon cards, buying Pokemon cards, and how Pokemon cards are basically sold out very fast, and also the prices of Pokemon cards are going up. Like they're being sold like cars. You know how like cars have MSRP, but like the dealers would mark up the price. That's basically what's going on with Pokemon cards. Like GameStop is marking up prices, Target's marking up prices, Walmart's marking up prices. It's kind of like there's kind of like a, what do you call it? Like a mania around Pokemon cards, and I started like looking into it. I started thinking about there has, I mean, I like the idea of making money off of assets, right? And the truth is, like, I've resold stuff before in the past. I've resold shoes before, and it's not for me. So even though I did buy some Pokemon cards, like it was not realistic for me to even think about trying to make money reselling Pokemon cards. It's just a lot of work, and for not a lot of money that a lot of work and not a lot of money, so I'm not willing to put in the work to do some of that work. Anyway, so the Pokemon Company, the movies, the shows, the video games, the Pokemon cards, which is one of the most popular things going on right now. The Pokemon Company is worth $100 billion, according to a lot of people valuing the company. And the way they're separated, Nintendo, the company that has like the Nintendo Switch, N64, the Wii, you guys know Nintendo, they own about a third of the Pokemon Company. So if the Pokemon Company is valued at $100 billion, a third of that would be $33 billion. So remember that, okay? Pokemon, the company, is worth $100 billion. And Nintendo's portion of that is at least 33%. Rumor has it that Nintendo also owns a piece of the other two companies that own the rest of the 66. So their portion is probably larger than 33%, but at minimum 33%. So this is where it gets interesting, right? So Nintendo's market cap, so how the stock market values the company, is at $48 billion. $48 billion. So the whole thing of Nintendo is worth $48 billion, and just the Pokemon part of it is worth $33 billion. So once you subtract the Pokemon card, or not the Pokemon card, the Pokemon Company out of the $48 billion, it means that Nintendo, if you took out Pokemon, they're valued at $15 billion. And that means $15 billion for like Mario, Super Mario, Donkey Kong, Metroid, Zelda, the Nintendo Switch business. And you're like, oh, that's a pretty good price. Maybe that is the deal. It gets even better. Nintendo has over this, depending on how you like digest it, I think they have about $16 billion cash or cash equivalents on their balance sheet. 16 billion. Meaning, if you take away out of the $48 billion market cap, if you take out the Pokemon portion and the cash portion, you're basically getting everything else for free. if you took the cash out and the Pokemon company out of Nintendo, you're basically getting, if you buy the stock today at its current prices, you're getting the Nintendo Switch, you're getting Super Mario, you're getting Donkey Kong, you're getting Metroid, you're getting Zelda for negative $1 billion, meaning they're paying you to own this stuff. So this is something where I'm like, this could be a very deep value. Like this sounds like an asset that's so cheap, right? You're getting all this stuff for free. You're basically paying for Pokemon and whatever cash they have on hand. It sounds like a good deal. It sounds like a slam dunk. It makes me want to drop like a ton of money. It makes me want to drop $50,000 to buy the stock, which for me is a lot of money, by the way. If, in case any of you guys think that I'm super rich out here, I'm not. But then also the issue is that Nintendo could possibly be a value trap. And the reason why I say this is because Nintendo's been trading around this valuation for like a long time. Like it's been like slightly lower and it's been slightly higher. No, it's been double the price for like for a quick second, I think, at some point this year. But for most of its history, it's around at this valuation. And the reason why this is because I think a lot of investors look at Nintendo and Japanese stocks in general and feel like they are not making use. They're not making the best use out of their capital, their money, and their assets. So if you guys we'll take a look at Pokemon on its own for a second, okay? I'm not that huge of a Pokemon fan. I never was. Like it came out when I was in maybe like 4th or 5th grade, like the original Pokemon games, and it kind of blew. It was kind of popular for a while, and I got into the games, but I never really liked it beyond that to the blue and red versions of Pokemon. I never really got into the Pokemon cards. I don't think I've ever opened a packet of Pokemon cards as a kid. Like we had Pokemon cards in the home, but I think my brother was buying that stuff. I kind of watch the TV, but the TV show kind of sucks. I watched maybe the first movie. The movies kind of suck. And like the reason why like their media is kind of trash is because they are just basically targeted to little kids. They want to like, how do I say this? They want to water down their content so down that new generation of children will watch it, will just like the stuff. But like if you're like an older kid, maybe even like teenager and even like adults, like the content is just kind of dumb. You know what I mean? Like it's not comparable to like other Japanese anime where they have like a fan base that's like young adults, teenagers, and also like adults, right? If you think about like Attack on Titan or Full Metal Alchemist, Naruto, like they have like long-standing fan base, and they have a fan base that has money, that will spend money on it. Pokemon doesn't really have that, besides the Pokemon cards, even though like 90% of people buying Pokemon cards are adults now, unfortunately, and they're just basically driving the price up and selling it in the secondary market to other adults. But yeah, the Pokemon card market is just all adults. Kids don't have access to it, because if you're an adult, like you're not gonna buy resale prices for Pokemon cards for your kids that might not even like appreciate them as much and don't look at it as like a store of value. But anyway, so there's like a disconnect, right? Pokemon content that they're putting out there is geared towards children. It's not very good. It doesn't have like a lasting fan base, I would say. Like you kind of play the games when you're a little kid, you watch the shows as a little kid, and then you kind of just move on until you get old enough, and then you're like, oh yeah, I just want to blow my money on Pokemon cards, and hopefully I could make some money. Like that's kind of how it works. And I think a lot of investors, me personally, I can't speak for other, but me personally, I feel like they are missing out on a lot of potential revenue, right? Like if they made like better stories out of their Pokemon content, like their TV shows and their movies, make their games a little bit better and not just like very like focus on young children, then they could, that $100 billion for the Pokemon company could be more than that. It could be like 150. It could be even $200 billion valuation. But Japan, Nintendo, and like they're run by Japanese people, and they're really, really against making Pokemon content like beyond little children's for little children. And then the second thing, this is more of like a Japanese company issue. Like a lot of Japanese publicly traded companies, like they just hoard a lot of stock, and they do this is because they're afraid. They remember the recession for them, and it lasted a long time. Some people say they're just like coming out of a recession, and they have a very strong balance sheet, meaning they have like very low debt, high cash flows, so they could kind of like weather the storm. And I think Nintendo's kind of worried about. They're thinking about. They're worried about another event where they have to go through a period of time where they struggle. They actually have so the Nintendo Switch has been very popular for them, but they had a failure. Let me look it up. What is it real quick here? Worse selling Nintendo console. So Nintendo did pretty good on their consoles. The Game Boy, everybody knows that, Super Nintendo, N64, they all did great. The first time they did really bad was the Wii U, which is their the Wii U and the GameCube did really bad for them. So they remember those times when they were not making a lot of money because of their console bust. So they're just hoarding cash, and some of that money they're investing in stock, but they have, so out of the 16 billion, maybe 2 billion they're investing in stocks, and the rest of it, the 14 billion, they're just investing in treasuries, like a mix of Japanese, European, and American treasuries, and that was only returning like 3.5% on your money, which, that's not a good use of your money. So I think a lot of people see that they have a huge stack of cash. They're not using it to buy new stuff. They're not using it to buy back stock. They're not using it to produce better content, so that they feel like that $16 billion are kind of going to waste, being mismanaged. And in a way, because if investors see that money is being mismanaged, their cash is being mismanaged, they actually give a discount towards that cash. So instead of seeing like a $16 billion cash that they could deploy and buy a lot of stuff with it, they see it as like worth less than $16 billion because they're not managing it correctly, and they're just letting inflation eat away at it. I actually don't know what Japan's inflation rate is. What is Japan current inflation rate? I'm looking up Gemini right now. Okay, so actually their annual inflation rate is not bad. It's only at 1.5%. So if they only buy U.S. treasuries, that's pretty good. It's 3.5. But I'm guessing they're doing a lot of Japanese treasuries too to keep money in Japan. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going back and forth to decide if I want to buy Nintendo, and if I'm going to buy some, I'm going to go in pretty heavy. The thing I'm worried about is I would put like a significant chunk of my money into Nintendo, and it basically just doesn't grow for a couple of years. You know what I mean? Like I'm really betting on or hoping on that. The government is. Let me explain. The government is actually pushing Japan to kind of bring back value to their stockholders. So a lot of companies are forced to buy back stock or use their money more efficiently. However, Nintendo's kind of immune to this because they're doing great. Like their revenues are great, their earnings are great. Um, but like they don't have the same pressure as these other companies, because Nintendo is still kind of growing. They're just not growing as fast as they can, And yeah, my fear is if I put like a significant chunk of money, maybe like $50,000 on it, like it might not grow. You know what I mean? Like it might just grow like 5% in a year, which is lame, right? Because I could just get that back from treasuries at 3.5% from U.S. treasuries, and there's zero risk. So I don't know, but I feel like Nintendo has some potential. Like I think the culture is kind of moving. Like the Japanese culture is trying to get out of this recession. They're trying to expand their market again. So maybe they're gonna do more with Pokemon. They're gonna do more with some of the other assets they have. I mean, there are a couple of good bright spots. I think by allowing other companies to sell their cards above MSRP, I don't know if Pokemon personally is getting any of the upside from that, or if these companies are just buying more units from them. Therefore, the upside is selling more units. It's hard to say because Pokemon doesn't really come out and give numbers like that since they're technically a private company. But yeah, I think I hear rumors about new series, new movie coming out for Pokemon, new games coming out for Pokemon that could be pretty big for them, which drives sales of their Nintendo Switch. So I don't know. The Mario movies seem to be doing very well in the U.S. They already had, I think this is the second Mario movie, right, with Chris Pratt. I think they already did revenues of like 900 million for the first couple weeks, so they're on track to breaking $1 billion in revenue. I don't know how much the movie cost to make. I'm guessing probably only like 300 million. I'm guessing. So I'm really tempted. I'm really tempted to buy it. I'll definitely buy some if it keeps dropping. Right now it's at 48 billion market cap. If it dropped like 11% on Friday. I'm recording this on a Sunday. If for some reason it keeps getting pummeled this upcoming week, if it for some reason drop down to like $40 billion, I'm gonna buy it hand over fist as a trade, because at that point it will be oversold. But yeah, there's a lot of good things going for it. I think Pokemon is going to be huge for them. The Mario movie is going to be huge. They're coming out with the Zelda movie. I don't know how big that is. I think there's some controversies over casting of the main character. So I don't know. They have a bunch of good IPs. They're really good games. You know what I mean? Like the Zelda brand games always sell out. The Metroid games do well. Super Mario Brothers, Firefox is another brand of theirs. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think I should buy Nintendo at a $48 billion valuation when $33 billion of that is Pokemon and then $16 billion of that is cash? So I'm paying $48 billion for the Pokemon assets and the cash, and I'm getting the Nintendo Switch, Super Mario, Donkey Kong, Metroid, Zelda, Firefox for free. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that's a good buy? Oh, man. I'm tempted to say yes, dude. I think me just buying a couple of packs of Pokemon cards is making me want to buy Nintendo, and I might regret it. I mean, but I do think the downside is limited. I don't think it could drop too much. The upside could be high, but it could just be dead money for a while. But I'm not going to lose half of my money today if I bought today. But if I did, I would double up, because that would be a point where it's at a deep discount, right? If it drops from 48 billion to 24 billion. I'm rambling now. The other company I want to talk about, and I'm probably definitely going to be buying more shares of, is MSGS, which is the stock holding for the New York Knicks and the Rangers, which is a pro hockey team. Right now, their market cap is slightly below $8 billion, which I think is a steal. The the Los Angeles Lakers recently just sold for $10 billion, and for $8 billion, you get the Knicks and the Rangers. The Knicks are probably one of the most valuable teams in the NBA, and they are good this year. They might win the championship this year. They're going to the conference finals officially, which should value them higher. I don't know. I know a lot of people don't like James Dolan as an owner, so that's why they are discounting him they're discounting the price of these two teams. But I think the board is thinking about splitting the companies up into two publicly traded companies, so you could kind of dive into the financials more and kind of value the teams better. I think regardless, I think the New York Knicks are probably worth at least $10 billion. So once they split those the Rangers and the Knicks into two companies, I would bet that someone would try to take those companies private at that point. This MSGS is on the hook to pay some high taxes starting next year. There's a new law starting next year for publicly traded companies that you cannot write off your top 10 employees' salaries. So for a sports team, you could guess like their top 10 paid employees are their athletes, and their athletes are getting paid like millions and millions of dollars a year. So that could be a huge tax hit to the Knicks and the Rangers. So I mean, my best bet is that they do their split sometime this year, probably after the NBA season. And hopefully that will be pretty fast. And then afterwards, people will start moving in to try to take the company private. So far, I think I only invested like $10,000 into the company. That's way too little. I need to be buying more of this just for the Knicks. Like just for the Knicks is a good deal in my opinion. It's kind of hard to value a sports team, right? Because they the revenue growth is not that high, but you have to kind of think of them as like a true collectible, not like Pokemon cards, which keeps continuing to print new cards every single year, every single month. You know what I mean? Like the volume, the amount of Pokemon cards continuously go up. So each card's value should go down, but they're not making any new NBA teams, right? And even if they do an expansion, it's very controlled. So there's less than 40 teams in the NBA, and then one of them is publicly traded, and it just happens to be the Knicks, which I think is, if not the most popular and most valuable team in the NBA, it might be number one, right? It's either them or the Lakers. Like I can't think of another team that's worth more than these two teams. So I think I invested about like $10,000 in the Knicks because I wanted to do a public. I wanted to show my public trades. Maybe that's why I held back a little bit. But looking back at it, I should buy more. It's really not that much higher from when I bought it. Maybe like a couple percent. So I'm pretty comfortable with buying more of it. And I think I'm gonna do that on Monday. But yeah, I'm gonna buy more of the New York Knicks, and I'm tempted to buy some of Nintendo, and I could see myself going pretty ham in that. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it there. It's going to be a short podcast today. A little bit less than 25 minutes. So let me know what you guys think. Should I be buying Nintendo? Should I be buying the New York Knicks MSGS? Or am I just wasting my money? Like I am with my WNBA Los Angeles Sparks season tickets. That's looking it's gonna be a losing money for me this year. But it's not a lot of money. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. If I do end up buying Nintendo and more of New York Knicks, obviously I'll be posting it on my Instagram while opening up Pokemon cards. So yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.